Rumors are breaking out all over the web that Marvel is going with an MCU 2.0. Kevin Feige apparently is planning to strap the X-Men into his vision of the message. Female X-Men everywhere. You might as well call them X-Women. It's coming from a source that has a great track record, but we are here to add to it, folks. In fact, we have leaked documents and information which conform to what we've been reporting now for months, and that is that the MCU 2.0 is likely to be strapped to Wolverine and Spider-Man. They know where their money is made, and that's where they're going to. Spidey senses tingling. We'll explain it, and we'll show you exactly what we're talking about right now. Folks, I'm hearing that now they have pivoted, and Secret Wars is going to be a Wolverine Spider-Man team-up, and that we may be dealing with more than one Spider-Man, perhaps two Spider-Men, maybe three, but perhaps two Spider-Man teamed up with Wolverine, along with some other very big names. Now, hello, folks. Happy day, happy day. Happy to have each and every one of you, and we hope you're having very happy holidays. Our holidays today are just a wee bit shinier because we have Miss Kara Lynn and Andrew, both of the Rippaverse, joining us today, and they are the perfect combo considering they come from what I consider to be the most successful comic effort out there, period. Welcome to you both.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Always
let's not,
happy to be here.
happy to have you both, and let's not hold the audience any longer. Let's get straight into this. The MCU 2.0, many thought that Kevin Feige, in the face of these failed phases, would have decided to save face and perhaps go back to that which works. And folks, we're not here to tell you that that which works excludes women. No, the opposite. But what does absolutely fail, apparently, is swapping out characters with this mantle strategy that Victoria Alonso came up with, and Kevin Feige seems beholden to it. This is an article out of thatparkplace.com. John F. Trent, editor-in-chief over there, is the author. Rumor: Marvel's initial idea for X-Men is to focus more on the female members of the team. A new rumor about Marvel's plan for the X-Men claims that they plan to focus more on the female members of their team. The latest rumor comes from scooper Daniel Richtman, and he has quite the track record, who reports the initial idea is to focus more on the female members of the team. Furthermore, the outlet notes, Kevin Feige is believed to want to make the movie as different to the 20th Century Fox franchise as possible, which also means no Magneto for the time being. The report also indicates the main villain being posited right now is Mr. Sinister. Now, I want to hand it to both of you, but I got to say, I can get behind, very much so, Mr. Sinister being the lead villain here. Got no problem with that at all, as we are joined now by also Fat Steven. But I can get behind Mr. Sinister being the lead villain for the new X-Men, but I question the sanity of Kevin Feige at a time when Marvel is collapsing, that they're adamant about going female-centric. I want to see Rogue. I want to see Storm. I want to see Jean Grey. I want to see Psylocke. I can keep going.
Jubilee.
But yes, Jubilee. But the idea that you would focus, like, here's the thing. Kevin Feige, and you all tell me if I'm wrong about this, Kevin Feige should be sitting down with the very best of writers and saying, how do we tell the best X-Men story possible? Kevin Feige should not be sitting down with the best writers and saying, how do we tell a story that's more female-centric? Like,
well, he's not even sitting down. He's not even sitting down with the best writers right from jump. So that's part of your issue there. This is such an artificial and unnecessary hoopla that if this ends up being true, if they're trying to make the X-Men more female-centric, like the vast majority of X-Men fans, I am among them, would say that most of their favorite X-Men characters are female X-Men characters. And it's entirely ridiculous to pretend like this is something that they have to push, like it's breaking new ground, never been done before. Two of my three favorite leaders of the X-Men are females, Storm and Emma Frost. Most of my favorite X-Men characters outside of like Kurt, Nightwing, are the female characters. Rogue, Psylocke, Jean, Storm, Magic. I could keep going for 8 days here on this.
Think about this. You love those characters because they're characters that you love.
Well, they're well.
I don't mean to be redundant or cyclical, but right, it's not because they're female necessarily. It's because they're human, and they're human in a way that's interesting.
There's two very positive points, though, I want to throw out here, and I hate using this with Kevin Feige. First thing is, we might have a chance of seeing the rogue actress actually take out Brie Larson and take all her memories and powers. That's a bonus. That's a bonus. It's true that it's a bonus. But the female centric thing, this is the bad part, is it's pretty much falls in line with all the tropes of Marvel right now. Female led team versus evil male Sinister. That's pretty much it. You can already pick out the template, what they're going with. But the problem is, if they're not even going to go to the costumes and make what the costumes were and make them look like strong X-Men that we've seen for the years and decades, it's going to, again, fall flat because it's going to push agenda over the fact that there's already an established lore and foundation of what the X-Men stand for. And I don't think Feige gets any of that, especially with their crew.
No, he clearly doesn't get any of that. If he did get any of that, then the second, and Eric has mentioned this 1.5 million times, and I've done the same, the second that Disney managed to get the rights back for Fantastic Four and the X-Men, toss out literally everything else and fast track those. But clearly he doesn't actually care about the X-Men. He doesn't know squat about the X-Men. Otherwise, he'd realize and recognize their brand power, which they need right now because the MCU is really lacking in that right now. Like, the only thing that still has any sway left over there, I'm going to guess, is Spider-Man. And that's partially held onto by Sony. So, they're not in a good spot at all. And the fact that they're taking this long to do anything with these brands that they finally got back in-house, like the X-Men, like the Fantastic Four, and now combine that with what we're hearing about what they're going to do, which, let's be real here, it shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody.
No.
Kara, what I think is that the proper way to handle female superheroes is to say, this character is very interesting. I would like for her to be in this next movie, and I would like for her to be an integral part of the storyline. So take Storm, for example. Very easy to see why you would do that. I think the inappropriate, improper, and completely dysfunctional way to bring women characters into the X-Men or Marvel or what have you is to say, we want to be female-centric. Here's the quota. We've got to reach this quota. Find whatever characters you can to make that roster be female-centric. I think that's asinine. Kara, what's the right way to bring in a balanced roster of men and women into a superhero franchise?
Don't market it as female centric. Make it seem organic. I think it's going to seem like a lot more like easy for people to digest if they know it's not going to be like girl power, this and that kind of stuff. I think that I think they just need to figure out how to market it properly without it seeming like girl good, boy bad. Like, if they can do that and go back to like old school X-Men, and really show like the women in X-Men have always been badass. They've always been powerful. They've always been a lot of like our favorites. So I think if they just kind of stay true to that and try to move away from the whole girl power movement that's going on right now, it's going to be a lot more digestible for like, especially like us women who really do enjoy this. And we do want to see these girls like be properly displayed like on these movies. I think that would, look at Endgame and all of the other Avengers, like the women in their own rights have their positives, except for Captain Marvel. Nobody liked her. But like they definitely tried to put it too on the nose that they were going for a girl power moment. If they would have done that in an organic way, to where like you're showing all these women be powerful and they're defending like the world, I think that it wouldn't have been as cringe as it was. I think that's where the problem is. Like, we want to see these women. We want to see them be bad. We want to see them be like true to the lore, but I think they just need to market it better as less girl boss, more, hey, this is a team with a team dynamic, and go that route. And definitely just, I think that's the biggest thing is don't
play
go
with
so
this
girl
idea
boss
for a
and
minute.
people will like it.
Play with this idea for a moment. Everybody on the panel. Imagine that for whatever reason, Mattel and Barbie and whoever is producing Barbie Entertainment decided, you know what? We need to open up the demographics and perhaps for whatever virtue signaling purposes. Now, I know this is ludicrous given our time and space, but let's say that they decided they needed to make Barbie more amenable to men, and they wanted more men to pay attention to Barbie. And let's imagine that as they prepared the Barbie sequel, that we had leakers coming out and saying, oh my gosh, Mattel and Barbie and Margot Robbie and everybody involved with Barbie, they're deciding that the sequel is going to be male-centric, male-dominated Barbie. That we would laugh because it's so stupid. And I would argue this is just as stupid, except we're inundated with it over and over.
Can I add two things to that?
Yeah.
First of all, that's G.I. Joe. I'm just going to go right there. That's pretty much G.I. Joe right there. That's male Barbie right there. I'm going to leave it at that. And the second thing is for the organic thing, pretty much if they want to go down the road, here's an idea. Pretty much, if we're going to look at Sinister as a villain, he could definitely come up with a virus like we take from Apocalypse from the cartoons in the 90s, and it only attacks the male genes, and they are out. And that's where your organic female team comes in because they are unaffected. They could do something like that rather than say girl power. They're the only ones left because the virus didn't affect them.
I think that's still a pretty hard sell with audiences out there. They might see that try.
I know, but
that's going to be a hard sell because X-Men is still primarily a male demographic, we can have problems with that if we want, but that's just the fact of the matter. That's how comic books have been for the longest time. The females, the women geeks that like it already like it, and they liked it just as it was. They like having the male characters. They like seeing Wolverine and Cyclops and Gambit and all of these other characters that they like their males just as much as they like the female characters. So by doing that, you're still going to, especially if you're doing that right off the rip, you are still ultimately going to turn off your male audience.
It doesn't have to be right at the beginning. Like, I'm just saying it's just an idea, but I agree. The X-Men is definitely team-based. It is one of those things that shows teamwork. You never see a battle where they're not working together and always using each other's weaknesses as well as their strengths in every conflict. That's one of the brilliance of them, because it's their differences are put aside and it's just their mutant powers coming together to protect humankind that are being attacked. And I think that's where they're not getting any of it when it comes to superheroes in general, not just X-Men.
And I think you're right, Stephen. That's why if I were a part of this decision-making process, I'd be saying, instead of we need this to be all about women, I'd be saying which characters would pair well together, which one create more dynamic and interesting relationships and fighting and explosive scenes and all of that. But what if I told all of you that all of this, I think, is just sort of, it's just empty virtue signaling. I know this is a shock, but guess what? This out of Kotaku, massive hack reveals new Venom and X-Men games coming by 2030. Insomniac Games ransomware attack shows their entire release roadmap. And I'm here to tell you, Insomniac Games probably knows the roadmap for Marvel, and they're probably making their decisions based on what Marvel is going to do. And so despite the fact that I believe what we are hearing from Mr. Richter, that they are going to be focusing on females, they know where their bread is buttered. And this comes from a rumor that we reported on this channel something like 8 months ago, where we talked about Marvel was going to go with Wolverine and Spider-Man team up. They know that is where the money is. Wolverine and Spider-Man, and that's where they want to head with this. Let's take a look now at what the list is for games coming out from Insomniac, which again has the exclusive rights essentially to X-Men. Here's what we have. 2024, Spider-Man 2 multiplayer. 2025, Venom. 25 to 26, Wolverine. 26, Wolverine multiplayer. 27, Spider-Man 3. 28, X-Men multiplayer. 29 and 30, X-Men. 2031, 32, new IP, and then new IP in 2035. So they are going with, for the rest of the 2020s, Spider-Man and Wolverine, essentially. Venom is part of the Spider-Man franchise. And I think this is also just a dumb decision, is that this will continue to be Sony exclusive. Marvel needs to be reaching out to all of those Switch players, Xbox players, Steam players, etc., with X-Men, and this will not do so. But that said, I'm here to tell you, Insomniac knows what's going to be out there. And they are following right along with what Marvel is telling them will be hot, will be supported. And so the money, despite what the statements are, despite what they might try to do with their movies, the money, the merchandise is in Spider-Man and Wolverine, and they all know it. So what do you all think about this Insomniac leak and the idea that the MCU 2.0 is kind of like this? It's kind of like we know Spider-Man and Wolverine will drive the sales. Let's strap all of our virtue signaling to the back of that and let it carry the rest. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's what they've been trying to do with just the rest of their characters for the last several years. So it really should come as no surprise to anybody at this point.
It's continuous.
We've already seen it, when they released the Miles Morales half game on the PS4. We saw it when we saw what the direction for the story of Spider-Man 2 went, which, by the way, this exclusivity thing with Sony is a huge misstep on the part of Insomniac, because that is capping themselves at the knees in terms of their potential sales and the potential user base, because Spider-Man 2's budget was $315 million. That's a lot of money. That's a big budget.
That's
film.
A Marvel movie budget.
It is. And so you are minimizing your ability to make that back and turn a really good profit. And especially right now in the current landscape with how Marvel properties are generally viewed, Spider-Man still has market strength. It's going to be that way for a really long time, but there's still apathy in general for Marvel as a brand. And what we're going to slowly see, I think, is we'll see initial boosts in some of the sales for some of these games that are upcoming from Insomniac, but they're going to peter out because that apathy has set in now when it comes to Marvel as a brand, and that limiting themselves to only one platform, plus, eventually it moving on to PC, but that's still a smaller user base than if you went with PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, S, whatever. You're limiting yourself in the potential sales and potential revenue you can get. And Marvel really can't afford to be doing that. They need to be saying, whatever it is that's going to get us the most money, that's what we need to be doing.
Once upon a time they could, but they can no longer. Kara, one of the things that I've been told by some sources out there, this is separate from the other rumors, I think, although maybe those have now made it percolated out in the public, I don't know. One of the things that I've been told is that Marvel and Kevin Feige, they kind of see this Hugh Jackman thing because they've got him signed to a multi-movie deal, is what we've heard. They kind of see him as being separate from what they want to do with the new Disney Marvel X-Men. And so they want to put Hugh Jackman and Tom Hiddleston together, team them up, but they want to leave the new Wolverine alone for quite a while, and then bring in a new Wolverine with the new X-Men later. What do you think the lifespan is on that? How excited do you think fans will stay for Hugh Jackman? Like, can he do 3 or 4 movies? Can he sustain this thing with video games through 2030 even?
I mean, Hugh Jackman's getting up there in age, and I know it's getting harder and harder for him. Like, just as an adult,
maybe he's not human, Kara.
Person.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he has that mutant thing going on. The man is ageless.
He is, but I mean, it's going to be harder and harder for him to stay in the shape that's going to be required of him for the role as Wolverine. And I mean, I'm personally excited to see him back in the next Deadpool. I think it's going to be a great duo. I'm really looking forward to it. And I mean, Hugh Jackman to me is Wolverine. And so it will be tough to move on to a new Wolverine, as we continue on with the reboots and whatever for the universe. So, I mean, it's going to be an adjustment for everybody. But I am also aware that he is human, whether we would like to admit it or not. And eventually his time is going to be up to play the role of Logan. And I mean, I don't know how I feel about him with the video games, as I know I've seen that there have been leaks of skins, kind of like they did for of him at for the Wolverine game. There's going to be a Hugh Jackman skin, kind of like how they did with the Spider-Man games, of the different Spidey suits from the different movies, even with the different universes and kind of stuff. So I think it'll be nice nostalgia for people. But I don't think I'm personally of the mindset, I don't think that them sticking to PlayStation is really going to hinder themselves that much. I mean, yes, I do agree that sales could be potentially better on other platforms. That's going to help. But look at the sales for Spider-Man 2 that came out. It was one of the top selling games of the year. And
It makes you wonder, though, Kara, if it had been
exclusive.
Right, if it had been
PS5
available on every
only has
console,
so many options.
it would explode. Even it may have been the biggest game of the year. And I would say for Marvel, this is a marketing opportunity. They're wanting to build and instill as big of a consumer base as possible. One of the issues that Marvel has had as of late, we've seen this, we've reported on it. They're losing the younger generation. So the 10-year-olds to 17-year-olds, let's say. And that's because the quality that is associated with Marvel, that many out there who are 25 to 55, they came to expect after those first phases, that younger generation has been having to flounder through phase 4 and 5. So you can forgive them for saying, you know what, I'm not so sure about this whole Marvel thing. So I say all that to come back to the point of, I think it would be important for Marvel to have a presence on the Switch somehow, some way, or Switch 2, whatever the case may be. And Stephen, that's why I want to give you the final word on all of this.
Oh, okay.
Stephen, when it comes to the idea of Spider-Man and Wolverine carrying the rest of everything, and the rest of everything being the MCU 2.0, you think it's a winning strategy? Do you think in other words, that they can satisfy the market with Wolverine and Spider-Man and satisfy their DEI, ESG talking points with the rest and skate through that, thread the needle, etc.?
No, if it was me, I would be bringing back all the old libraries, starting with the Konami X-Men arcade game, going back through Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I would be bringing all those to HD and releasing all of that stuff, not either in collections or something, for every console, and make back the profits they need, because you want to get people back into Marvel that's not just Disney associated. You bring back all of those things, and that way everyone has a choice and finds a niche in their own through all the properties we've had, let's say, over the last 20 years. Two characters cannot hold a franchise. We're not in this anymore. We needed at least a bunch before, like, say, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca, R2-D2, C-3PO. We needed at least 6. 2 won't be able to, because it's going to become eventually the same storyline, the same problems, the same solutions. They're not thinking outside the box. This just sounds like a Band-Aid until they find someone that can fit another hole for whatever they're planning. And they need to start going backlog. We've talked about this, not just with their films and their movies. It's now with their video games and every other type of media they have. They need to take from the back, throw it out in the front, and then use that to figure out where they want to go next with the things they have planned.
Great points, all. Andrew, your favorite X-Men?
Nightcrawler, followed by Emma.
Kara?
Rogue.
Stephen?
Great choice.
Cable and
like
Psylocke.
And mine is Nightcrawler as well. Andrew and I are kindred spirits in this regard. Just so folks, you don't wonder, are we actually fans of the X-Men or not? But that is a wrap for today, folks. We have to end it there. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And please, 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 we beg of thee, make sure that you are following these wonderful guests. Stephen does a great job when it comes to gaming, and his live streams are excellent. Of course, Kara Lynn has a YouTube channel, Andrew as well. Their links are in the description down below, and make sure you are checking out, reading, and reviewing for your own joy the Rippaverse comics as they come out. You are not going to want to miss a single thing they do. Excellence is all they know how to do. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?